Welcome back friends to another session of finite element methods for fluid dynamics. In the past few sessions we have looked at very simple finite difference methods to solve ordinary differential equations, partial differential equations. We have looked at the idea of vector spaces, completeness, the idea of bases, and we also looked at in the last class about some ideas as to how to get better conditioned system as opposed to ill conditioned system. What we want to do today is, as promised, we want to set up the method of weighted residual, and this actually is an umbrella of methods that tells us how to do error control and in turn give us several methods. Okay. So let us begin with that. So in order to set up this method, what I will do is I will take a small toy problem and then use that to describe the method to you and what comes out of it. So let us first consider the Laplace equation. So consider the Laplace equation. So we will restrict ourselves to 2 dimensions for simplicity, but the ideas are actually valid for 1 and 3 dimensions both. So let us look at this domain. Let us say this is the domain omega and the boundary of this is gamma. So gamma is the boundary of domain omega, and we are interested in the field T. So T is a function of x and y, it is a real valued function, and it is supposed to satisfy the following equation. So del square T is 0 on omega, so that is the Laplace equation, and in addition it satisfies some boundary conditions, and we are going to consider only a Dirichlet problem. So the boundary condition here is that T on gamma, or rather I should say T is equal to T0 on gamma. So only a Dirichlet problem. We can consider other kinds of problems also, and they really will not have much of a difference, but for illustration we will consider this simple case. So we are interested in finding a solution to this problem. So what is the solution T x y? So the obvious way to solve this problem is that we look at this differential equation and then try to solve it at each and every point inside this domain. I hope you are able to appreciate that the equation is to be applied at all points interior to this domain. Okay, points that lie on the curve on the boundary gamma, they actually satisfy this boundary condition. So there the value of T is given to you, it is known, and that is why we have written here this equation is to be applied on omega, the open domain, and not omega bar, which is the closed domain. Okay. So in fact, if I asked you that where all this equation is to be applied, then the obvious answer is it is at infinite number of points, because it has to be applied at each and every point that lies inside the domain omega. So that would be the exact solution. So we can talk about an exact solution and an approximate solution. Now this is where one has to realize that how does this or these two differ from each other. As far as an exact solution is concerned, it emerges from solving this equation at exactly at each and every point and satisfy this boundary condition exactly at all points on gamma. But you know, I may not be able to do that. I mean, that is why I seek an approximate solution. And now I could ask, how do I approximate this? So some of you may argue, well, let us choose some points inside this domain omega and solve this equation approximately on those points. Okay? Or some of you would say, no, let us solve at least on those points the equation exactly. Some others would say, well, it is not fair, maybe we should compute some kind of an error, and then error on an average sense should be 0. So you can already see that there are several ways of talking about what is approximate, and that is what the purpose of setting this up today is. So let us number these equations. So I will call this as equation 1 and this as equation 2, and what I am going to now propose is that let there be a trial solution which is given as that T is T0 plus summation I going from 1 to capital N Ci Ti, which are functions of x and y. So let me propose a solution like this, where Ti as a function of x, y are trial functions given to us, right. So what is being said is that let there be a class of functions Ti, I goes from 1 through n. So these could be like the Fourier functions. So you are all familiar with the Fourier series. So I could take functions like 1 sin x, cosine x, sin 2x, cosine 2x, and so on. I could take Chebyshev polynomials, and so on and so forth. So this is a class of functions that is given to me, and their linear combination is supposed to add up to this answer T. And I have taken a very special case that the T0 is added to this, and I will tell you why we do this, essentially for satisfying the boundary conditions. So the challenge is to determine Ci's where I goes from 1 to n, given Ti's where of course I goes from 1 to n. So we will assume that these trial functions are very special, that all Ti's on x equal to or on x on the boundary they are 0. So I will assume that all these trial functions, they actually vanish on this boundary. Now notice what happens. If that happens, then T x on gamma is simply equal to T naught, because these vanish and therefore I am left with only T naught. So therefore the boundary condition is automatically satisfied by my representation. So let me call this as equation number 3. Okay. So I hope the task is very clear to us. So I will again state the problem. I am given a set of trial functions. Okay, these are, somebody has chosen them for me. These could be Legendre polynomials, Chebyshev polynomials, these could be monomials, you know, like 1x, x square. These could be Fourier coefficients or Fourier functions, and the challenge is I have to find Ci's, okay, these coefficients. Now, as you will notice, I goes from 1 to n. So clearly, if I want a very general solution, and then if I allow n going to infinity, then this solution has infinite number of terms, and the hope is that I can represent my solution exactly. Okay. So, exact solution in general may require n going to infinite. That means I have to determine infinite number of constants. Okay. Now that's not an easy task. But if I want an approximate solution, then n is finite. So something like I want to represent a function in terms of its Fourier series. If I want the function to be represented exactly, I would have to probably incorporate all the terms, infinite terms. But if I am happy with an approximation, then depending on how many terms I have, I would have that level of approximation. Clearly, larger the n, smaller would be my error and better is my approximation. Okay. So, the challenge is that on one hand I want to spend less. So, I want to have as quickly a solution as possible with limited resources. On the other hand, I want my error to be small. So, this brings us to what is meant by error. So, so we will define something called the residual, or this is also the error, and this is defined pointwise. So, I will define r as a function of Ci x and y, and this is simply Laplacian of t. Okay. This was ideally supposed to be 0. So, if you remember, this was the original equation, Laplacian of t is 0, that is equation number 1. But because I am finding an approximate solution, it is not going to be 0. So, the error in the Laplacian is actually the, we will call it the residual, and as you can very well see, it will depend on the location as well as these coefficients Ci. So, let me plug in this quantity from 3. So, this is the approximation that I had, and then my residual Ci xy is actually given as T naught plus summation I going from 1 to n del square Ti, and this is times Ci. Okay. So, this is now my equation number 4. So, this equation tells me the pointwise error in the entire domain, and as you will appreciate, because I have already satisfied my boundary condition exactly, so there is no error on the boundary. Okay. The error, so r is 0 on the boundary by definition, and it is possibly non-zero inside, and I can actually calculate it pointwise. So, I will write a small note here that r Ci xy is 0 on gamma. Okay. So, no approximation on boundary so far. Of course, one could make approximations there as well. Good. All this is nice, but what about these C's? This is the one which we are interested in. So, how do we determine them? So, the way the problem, so consider 4, there are Ci's which are unknowns. So we have n unknowns. Right? Somehow to solve for these n unknowns, we must generate n equations. So need n equations. So the whole analysis boils down to taking this equation number 4 and somehow generating n equations out of them. Of course, you could argue what is the problem, because you could apply this equation anywhere you want. There are infinite number of points, so you could generate infinite number of equations. Okay, but that does not help, because you have only finite number of terms n. Of course, you could argue n goes to infinity, I have infinite number of equations, and then everything is hunky dory. But I think the challenge that I would like you to visualize is, suppose n is 100, you want only 100 equations, then how do you generate those 100 equations? And this is where the method of weighted residual comes in. So MWR. So what we are going to do is, we are going to define weight functions. So remember, we have already talked about trial functions, now we are talking about weight functions, and these weight functions are Wj's. So Wj is a weight function xy on omega such that maybe I skip this. So the method of weighted residual is that we choose Ci's such that the residual, or rather the weighted residual, is 0. So that is the method of weighted residual. How are we going to do this? Well, we have already defined the inner product. So we will say that Wj times the residual is 0, and this corresponds to integral over the domain omega times the function Wj, the residual we have already defined, times d omega, this is 0. And j of course has to go from 1 to n. So let us write down the method. So the method of weighted residual essentially does the following. So Ti's, where I goes from 1 to n, are trial functions. These are given. Okay, it is a class of functions which are used to, their linear combination is used to represent the solution. Then we have the Wj's, and here j goes from 1 to n, and these are the weight functions. These are also given. So n trial functions, n weight functions, and we are supposed to determine Ci's such that the inner product of Wj comma r is 0 for all j going from 1 to n. Okay, so I hope now the method is clear. So I am going to represent the solution in terms of these trial functions, and then I choose n weight functions. These are also given to me. I take the first weight function, multiply that with the residual, and the weighted residual, the integral of that is 0 over the entire domain. Then I take j equal to 2, I do the same thing, then I do j equal to 3, and this would generate n equations. So, this generates n equations that can be solved to get Cj's, or if you so desire Ci's. In fact, I can show you how we get these. So, first I put j equal to 1. So, I would get integral of W1, which is of course a function of x y, and this is over the integral over domain omega, and R is given as T0 plus summation I goes from 1 to n Ci Ti xy, and mind you we have to do the Laplacian. So, let me do Laplacian. This times d omega is 0. So, this is the first equation. I can now generate the second equation, which is I now choose W2, which is xy, and again the residual and so on, all the way to j equal to n. So, this would give me n equations in terms of Ci's. So, notice each of these equations contains this sum C1 times the Laplacian of T1 plus C2 times Laplacian of T2 and so on. So, I get n equations in n unknowns and I can solve for them. Okay? And I hope you are now able to see that all this method is doing is that you choose the weight, okay, and the weighted residual is 0. So, essentially what you are doing is you are saying let me define the residual function over the domain. So, this is my domain omega. So, I will define a Wj on it, and then I will say that the error is simply not, so not just the average error is 0, but the weighted error is 0. So, I may decide, for example, that this part of the error has more weightage than the remaining part, and therefore, this is the statement that says the weighted error is 0. And then I do it for another function 2, then I do it for another function 3, so on and so forth. Okay.